Celebrity Brain Crash, axed on the Grand Tour Season 2. The time are changing on Amazon Prime's The Grand Tour. We learned that the tent will no longer travel, the American, Mike Skinner, has been cut, and now it seems like Celebrity Brain Crash is no more either. So much change coming at the most so fast. In a new promotional video for the show's second season, which will air on December 8th, Jeremy Clarkson confirms that Amazon has decided to do away with Celebrity Brain Crash, the celebrity portion of the show where every celebrity was killed and thus unable to come on. Simultaneously, it seems like Amazon still wants to keep some kind of celebrity segment, so the format will see some adjustments. Per the video, Clarkson has sawed off the back end of an Alfa Romeo and will make more people drive around in it. It's kind of like skid plate racing. If this segment goes how I think it will go, I'm actually pretty excited. It reminds me of the old Top Gear Reliant Robin episode, which had me wheezing on the floor because I was laughing so hard. And thank God for Amazon killing Celebrity Brain Crash, really. I found it funny maybe the first 2 times, but after that it just got so awkward, staged and lame. I think it might have been the 3 of them trolling the celebrity segment on Top Gear, but who knows? I wouldn't put it past them. So, no more dying celebrities unless they die horrifically while trying to operate half an Alfa Romeo. This article was brought to you by jalopnik.com. For more Grand Tour news, hit that subscribe button and stay up to date with everything Grand Tour. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching.
This video, I would like to address a few issues in relation to the Grand Tour and Top Gear. Without further ado, hello and welcome to this video. Now, as judging by the introduction of this video, I will be talking to you today about the comparisons made between Top Gear and the Grand Tour. As we all know, Top Gear started back on the 25th of February 2018 with its 25th series. And the Grand Tour Series 2 officially finished on the 16th of February the same year, just a week before Top Gear was about to begin. Now, a lot of you may remember that about 2 or 3 years ago, possibly even, yes, it is 3 years ago at this stage now, Clarkson, Hammond and May left the BBC, and yet there are comments on Twitter saying that, oh, the new Top Gear's shit, or, oh, I'm not watching the new Top Gear now because of such and such that this happened, or we don't like the new trio or something. Get over yourself. It's the car show. We love both of them. If you don't watch the BBC, if you don't watch Top Gear, watch the Grand Tour. If you don't watch the Grand Tour, go and watch Top Gear. It's that simple. Just, there are different ways of working around it. Now, the presenting trio might have changed, but that doesn't mean that there's the same chemistry or there's the same banter between the 3 presenters of the new team. There was that, like, if you look back at the older series of Top Gear with Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond and James May, they weren't as popular as they are now. But as the years went on, they got better and better and better. because they got to know their audience. On the other hand, give Matt LeBlanc, Chris Harris and Rory Reid a chance. They've only been properly at it for about 2 years. Series 23 is an exception because of Ginger Git over here. Not naming any names. Chris Evans. So give them a chance, and if you don't like it then, after Series 25, possibly going on to even Series 26, presuming that there wasn't as much press association or media involvement in the upcoming release of Series 25, mainly due to the fact, possibly because Series 25 might see the end of BBC's Top Gear. We never know until the full series is aired and whether or not it has been commissioned by BBC for 26 series. That is all speculation. It could all be false information. We don't know. But anyway, back to topic. As Top Gear started out in Series 1 up until about, I think it took a good few years. I think it was up until about Season 4 they started to realise what their audience was looking for, and not some kind of, oh, this is a car show and oh, we're not going to be as popular. But they tried it anyway, and it's the same with the Grand Tour. In Season 1 people weren't happy with things. They wrote into the Grand Tour saying we're not happy with this. Take Celebrity Brain Crash for example. That worked for one episode in Season 1, then they proceeded with that through to the end of Series 1, and then they came back with Celebrity Face Off in Series 2, and they scrapped that idea in Season 1 anyway. So, you know, it's a win-win situation, people. Get over yourself, and if you don't like Top Gear, watch the Grand Tour. If you don't like the Grand Tour, watch Top Gear. What else could I say? Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. I will now leave playlists and info cards up in the top right hand corner of the screen. Also, self-promotion incoming. I have a new YouTube channel called Well Framed. Well Framed. I can't speak today. That the link to my channel and also an info card up in the top right hand corner will be present in the description. Go and click there. On this channel I do photo manipulations, photographic tutorials, I showcase my photography portfolios and many more. I will have videos on my Well Framed YouTube channel every 2 to 3 weeks. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Confirmed. The Grand Tour returns with one big change. Series 2 of the Grand Tour is returning later this year, but with one big change to cater for its accident-prone hosts. The studio tent, which travelled around the world with them in the first series, will be staying firmly put in the Cotswolds in South England. Although hosts Jeremy Clarkson, James May and Richard Hammond will still be taking the show across the locations across 5 continents, all their studio segments will be filmed in the UK. A statement from the series said, "Given that their sore joints, struggling lungs and combined age of 158, the studio tent will be given the new home in the charming location of the Cotswolds." The format tweak comes in the wake of Richard Hammond's serious car incident during the filming of the second series, which saw his car burst into flames and Jeremy Clarkson being hospitalized with pneumonia. The show's executive producer Andy Willman said, "It's clear that the most popular Grand Tour element of the show is when the chaps are roaming around the globe on their big adventures and road trips. So that's why we're doing a lot more of this series. He also added, "We'll keep the studio room in place, and given how accident prone they are at the minute, that can only be a good thing." Clarkson 57, Hammond 47 and May 54 will spend more than 100 days across 5 continents with diverse locations including Croatia, Mozambique, Dubai, Spain, Switzerland, Colorado and New York. The second series of the Grand Tour will kick off later this year. That's all for now on the Grand Tour series videos. Join me next week when I have a new topic. This article was also brought to you by rte.ie. The Grand Tour Season 3 will feature three old Italian sports cars. Question is, which one of them will break down first? At the beginning of the month, we reported that Amazon's The Grand Tour will not be picked up for a fourth season, though, just as an April Fool's joke, it was inspired by speculation that the budgets had gotten out of control and were unsustainable. For now, Jeremy Clarkson has posted a video on his Drive Tribe page showing off three cars that will be tested in the Grand Tour third season. It appears this will be one of the trio's infamous cheap car tests, and it will take place in Scotland. Clarkson actually filmed a short video to show off the classic Italian sports cars, though you'll have to head over to the Drive Tribe to watch it. Clarkson chose an Alfa Romeo GTB6, James May a Lancia Gamma Coupe, and Richard Hammond a Fiat X19. The challenge in the film will be to see which one of them breaks down first. Clarkson claims that all three cars ran for the 500-mile journey without incident, but sources spotted Clarkson riding a bicycle while his Alfa Romeo sat on the back of a tow truck. Clarkson later posted a picture of his car sitting on a lift in a garage with the caption, "Tragically, we have an answer." This could be a very interesting challenge for the Grand Tour. We just hope it doesn't appear too staged like the Maserati film in the first season. This article was brought to you by carbuzz.com. As always, there will be a link to this article in the description box below. Subscribe to the channel for Grand Tour, Top Gear and automotive related news in the near future. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Here's an early look at the Grand Tour Series 2. Somehow, between Richard Hammond busting up his leg in a car crash and Jeremy Clarkson nearly dying from pneumonia, the Grand Tour managed to film a TV show. There's extra photo evidence of it if you're skeptical, or if you just want to see what these dudes will be doing in the new season. It's hard to tell how early of a look these photos are, considering the fact that we don't know when the show will be out other than it's coming soon. There's not a set date for its release yet, but the general consensus is that the first full episode will be out this fall. The Grand Tour's Facebook page put up some teaser photos of the new season recently, which show a lot of weirdness. What did you expect? First, here are the three of them stuck in mud. There's the odd pairing of a Mercedes-Benz W123, what we Americans like to call a Nissan Frontier, and Hammond looks like he's on a bike with ski goggles and a wooden cross. Then there's Hammond on the water, which is probably a safer place for him. There will also be a battle of the Jags in the snow. It looks like, and these three look like they're posing for the cover of an X Games snowboarding video game. Then there's almost the same group doing what looks to be a different challenge, except it looks like the XJs didn't make it. The XJS didn't make it. Again, a tank on a seemingly quiet golf course is probably a safer place for Hammond these days. But safety third, right? Safety third. There will also be a segment of Hammond's remake Concept 1 supercar crash from the summer, as teased in a video trailer a few months ago. This article was brought to you by jalopnik.com. A link to this article will be left in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. I will be back next week with another video. This is it for now in the Grand Tour video series. See you next week at the same time. Goodbye for now. Has the Grand Tour reached its prime time? Find out as I delve deeper into this topical issue. The successful motoring show, which reportedly produced more than $100 million in revenue for Amazon, will not return for a fourth series, a source has revealed. The trio have not been offered another contract, and their current contract only covers them for 3 series and 36 episodes. While the trio are currently getting ready to produce Series 3, a source spoke to the Daily Mail on Sunday. This makes sense, as Jeremy Clarkson has only recently accepted the role as presenter on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Richard Hammond and James may be on the hunt for a new job once Series 3 of the Grand Tour has finished production. Once again, this is not a true source, and we have no idea whether this is true or not. The only way we can find out is sit and play the waiting game. Thank you very much for watching, and of course, for that matter, listening to this video series issue topic. I will have more news on the Grand Tour as it unfolds, and of course on this issue as well. If you do like this video, please like the video, comment on the video, share the video on social platforms, and subscribe to the channel for more motoring content. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Welcome to today's video. In some slightly unexpected news this evening, the Grand Tour has been recommissioned for a fourth series. All that and more to be coming later. However, throughout the past year, it was rumoured, with an article first appearing on carbuzz.com or .ie, I'm not too sure what the domain is, that Series 3 could be the last of the Grand Tour. Now this circulated around the internet for the guts of about 18 to 20 months, suggesting that Series 3 could be the last series of the Grand Tour. And to be honest, I was one of those people who, after growing up with them on Top Gear and on the BBC and all that, kind of fell into the trap of, oh, well, this could be the end of the Grand Tour as we know it, and I wasn't the only person who saw it that way. There was many others who thought the same, and I kind of got very worried about the show, because obviously the Grand Tour had only started a year before that, in 2016, and I was kind of thinking, if the Grand Tour is to go completely from Amazon and off the internet, what are us as fans supposed to do in the interim? However, a statement this evening provided by Amazon LLC and PLC and the Grand Tour Twitter page and Instagram account, and presumably on Facebook, although I haven't checked that yet, has said, I shall read it for you now, and of course on the Drive Type social channel they have said, "We're excited to announce that we have renewed the Grand Tour for Season 4 and proud that Amazon Video, or Prime Video as it's referred to in its Instagram text, will continue to be the home for Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond and James May for years to come. Season 4 will see the three amigos ditch the tent to take on big adventure road trips that we know Prime members love." Now, so the surprising news from reading that text is that over the last, let's say, 2.5 to 3 seasons, we've seen the tent travel the world in Season 1 and remain grounded in Season 2. And presumably it will remain grounded in Season 2, in Season 3 in the upcoming series. However, after Series 3, they are planning to get rid of the tent completely. Now, whether they're going back to the Top Gear route with this, I'm not exactly sure, but from my reading of the text, it certainly looks like it. And if you remember back 2 years ago, when they were coming up with the name of the show, what to call it and all that, they got into a bit of a legal kerfuffle with their lawyers and the BBC, and the BBC said to them, look, you can go off and you can create your own show, just don't copy exactly what Top Gear has done, in the sense that when they were working at the BBC, they were given a studio that remained in Britain for the duration of 22 years, possibly even more in Jeremy's time, because he started in like 97, maybe even later, maybe even earlier than that. So in the Top Gear days they had a studio, in the Grand Tour days they had a tent that moved around the world, and then from Season 2 onwards they had a studio that remained grounded. Now, the news that has come to me has said that after Season 3 they are getting rid of the tent in Series 4, and selling it on to, I don't know, other people who are interested in purchasing of the tent. However, we do have season 4 to look forward to, and many more seasons to come after that. Season 3, the current series, is on its way. It will arrive on the 18th of January 2019, with a Christmas special coming out on the next Friday, actually, on the 21st of December. Presumably, the Columbia special that was supposed to be part of Series 2 would now be part of Series 2/3, bridging the gap between the end of Series 2 and the beginning of Series 3. So we do have that to look forward to, and above all else, the show must go on. That's a Queen reference. I will leave a link to the video above. If you like this video and would like more Grand Tour videos in the future, please hit that like button, share it on social channels like Facebook, Drive Tribe, Twitter, Instagram, whatever other social media channels you're on. Do share this news. I will be back with a video visualized form of my thoughts on the Grand Tour game, when you can expect it out, and I'll be back again on the 19th of January next year with my review series of the Grand Tour Series 3, and then I'll be back next week, presumably next Saturday, with my review of the Columbia Special to end Series 3 and begin Series... to end Series 2 and begin Series 3. Until then, thank you very much for joining me on this very exciting evening, and I'll see you again in the new year. Bye for now.
The car is dead. Long live the car. In the words of Richard Hammond, where Hammond sees cars by 2040. That's to come in this week's new video. Hammond says, "So on the day I shall be told by doctors when I can drive again, the car is sentenced to death. The UK government has, as you will have heard, announced a ban on sales of petrol cars and diesel cars from 2040. The internal combustion engine will have come and gone in what, 3 generations? It was a fad, a passing phase. The V8, the straight 6, the flat 4, they were Beatles haircuts. Soda streams and loon pants, no more permanent than a pop song. Countless millions of people made engines for their life. They dreamed about them, worked directly in them, and their lives rang to the sound of them. It was a social mover and shaker like no other. Its oily gustrations powered not just our cars, but the inspiration behind music, poetry, literature and art. And now its execution date has been announced. The internal combustion engine is sitting in its cell, staring through the bars at the scaffold. Except it was dying anyway. Advances in battery technology are being shoved along by the power of commerce, a far mightier engine than the internal combustion one it will replace. Infrastructure, the means to change cars, represents not a problem, but a huge quivering opportunity glistening with money and power. Humankind is not generally inclined to pass by such opportunities. 2040 is 23 years away. 23 years ago, we didn't have social media. Now it's become the new engineer of social ranking and, arguably, democracy. At the current rate of technological progress, there's every chance the internal combustion engine will have died on the way to the scaffold. I might have had a shaky experience in an electric car recently. I'm on my way to the hospital to find out when I can drive again, but I'm still very, very excited about the future of cars." That is what Richard Hammond said 7 months ago on Drive Tribe regarding the whole petrol-diesel car situation by 2040. Are you happy with this new law? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Hello and welcome to your episode preview for the Grand Tour Series 3, Episode 4. In this week's episode of the Grand Tour, 3 hosts travel to Wales to test out the modern SUVs up against the Japanese market. James May is in the new Mercedes, while Jeremy Clarkson, I think he's in Volkswagen, and Richard Hammond is in the new SUV anyway. They test them in Wales by doing a lot of off-roady SUV stuff with them to compare them with what is currently on the market in Japan. We also see the Grand Tour do a lot of other things this episode. There isn't any celebrity guests this season. As said about 2 weeks ago at this stage, that there will be no celebrity guests on this season, as it kind of took away from the whole Grand Tour aspect of the show. I keep meaning to put out a video onto why the audience will no longer be in upcoming seasons of the Grand Tour, and why they have decided to get rid of them, which will be out on Thursday afternoon, depending on when I feel like putting it out. But other than that, this preview is just about the next episode of the Grand Tour, entitled Pick Up and Put Downs. Now, what the title suggests is a bit of a mystery to me, because I know that the Grand Tour crew are going to Wales to test out 3 SUVs up against the Japanese market, but I know nothing else other than that. I also know that throughout this series, the Grand Tour, and specifically Jeremy Clarkson, will be testing the Lamborghini Urus in Sweden. The Grand Tour will be going to Mongolia, and they will also be travelling to China, where I think it was late last year they launched their social media platform Drive Tribe to the Chinese market. If I can find a video, they will be going up in the info cards, popping up on your screen. And there will also be end cards at the end of this video with content that is mentioned in this video but won't be appearing in end cards. Yes, so this video is about the 3 hosts bringing the UK bringing the UK SUV market up against the Japanese market and comparing them to see which one is best. Until then, this has been your Grand Tour preview for the Grand Tour Series 3 Episode 4 episode Pickup and Put Downs, of which the title still remains a mystery to me. However, the Grand Tour will be available on Friday, I think it's the 1st of February. Yeah, Friday the 1st of February on Amazon Prime Video. If you like this video and would like to check out more of my Grand Tour Series 3 videos, please check out the Grand Tour Series 3 playlist along with my Grand Tour videos playlist and other Grand Tour related content. If you like this video, click down in the below this video, click like, share the video on social platforms, and click here to subscribe to my channel for more Grand Tour weekly content updates. Coming your way in March, I have the Grand Tour game content planned. I have Who Wants to Be a Millionaire reviews for Series 33 planned, and I have a Drive Tribe exclusive series in the works. So do check me out on Drive Tribe at drivetribe.com. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next week. I will see you on Saturday for my review of episode 4, and then next week for my preview of episode 5. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on Saturday. Welcome to this week's episode review of the Grand Tour Series 3. Apologies for the late upload. As you may be aware, this review contains spoilers for this week's episode. So please, if you have not watched this week's episode of the Grand Tour, please head to Amazon Prime Video now. Watch it, come back here and press play. Hello everyone and welcome to this week's review of the Grand Tour Series 3 Episode 5 and Itchy Ears. In this week's review, the Grand Tour heads to Sweden to test out the brand new Lamborghini Urus. Also in this week's show, Richard Hammond pays tribute to racing driver Jim Clark in the Lotus 25, and James May tests out the brand new Alpine A110 in a rare visit to the Ebolodrome. Now then, this week's review kicks off with a review of the brand new Lamborghini Urus. Of course, the Grand Tour this week is in Sweden testing out the brand new Urus, and Jeremy Clarkson has brought along Grand Tour's racing driver Abby Eaton. The race, of course, doesn't go as Jeremy Clarkson has planned, but in the end he comes to his conclusion that the Lamborghini Urus may not be good on snow, but it is well able to keep up with a Porsche 911 GT3 RS, of which I found very interesting, yet slightly out of touch this week on the Grand Tour. I like the car, obviously.
I also found it a little bit humorous as well, as you'll see when you watch the episode. Also in this episode, James May tests the brand new Alpine A110. This review starts off quite negatively with, James May's comments on how the engine is in the boot instead of... It's in the middle of the car basically. It's a mid-engine car. It's built by Renault and it copies slightly the original version of the Alpine, but in the end his review turns out to be quite positive, and he then goes off and buys one. Moving on now to quite the highlight for me of this episode, which is the tribute that Richard Hammond paid to legendary racing driver Jim Clark. This episode focuses on his achievements as a racing driver. It mainly focuses, this was the big main piece of the episode basically, and I quite like when the Grand Tour or Top Gear Grand Tour goes off and does these massive history lessons. We saw it in, I think it was Series 2, when Jeremy Clarkson made the short film about Audi versus Lancia in the rally driving stages. We saw it in Series 1 when James May made his film on I think it was a Ferrari GT40 in Series 1 Episode 6. And I do quite like when they go off and they make these short films around somebody or something historic. In this case, this week it was Jim Clark, the Lotus 25 racing driver who raced against in the Nuremberg in America, and surprisingly in percentage terms has more Grand Slams apart from Michael Schumacher, Lewis Hamilton and the main racing drivers that we know today. From this documentary history short video thing, history lesson, we saw that Jim Clark used Ayrton Senna as his inspiration. We've had interviews from the team mechanic, his teammates, and I think the original Lotus 25 designer. I'm not sure, but it's all there in the episode, so when you have time you can go and watch it. I watched this episode I think maybe twice, there yesterday and on Friday, so it was very engaging, I have to say. I will of course leave articles to how you can win or how you can get hold of a limited edition Lotus 25 in the description, which is down there somewhere, and I will leave video clips to the Lotus 25 and this week's Grand Tour trailer up in the info cards, available to you at some point during this video. Next week I will be giving you an exclusive preview to the Grand Tour episode 6 of Series 3. This week I think they're in China, of which the episode title will be revealed very soon. So my review this week gets a 9 out of 10. See you next week. Bye bye.
The Grand Tour has been cancelled because it's too expensive. Last month, we heard a rumour that the Grand Tour will not be renewed for a fourth season on Amazon Prime. The likely reason is the show's high production costs, coupled with the multi-million-dollar salaries paid to host Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond and James May. Today, however, Amazon Prime has apparently made its final decision. Season 3 will be the show's final season, assuming another network and or streaming service doesn't pick it up. Despite more positive reviews for its second season, the Grand Tour's first season was not quite everything audiences hoped for, namely the American Test Driver and Celebrity Brain Crash. Both were dropped for Season 2, which not surprisingly was better received than Season 1. Clarkson, the also newly minted host of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in the UK, is obviously devastated by the news. For the life of me, I cannot figure out where things went wrong. I blame May, who demanded such a high salary in the first place. No clue why he needs to buy more shirts with patterns worse than the 1970s era with wallpaper, he wrote on Twitter. As for Hammond, he's simply become too accident prone, especially after his near-fatal crash in the Rimac Concept 1 last year. Those insurance buggers raised his premiums again. I really can't believe this is happening. It's like fake news or something, Clarkson added. Amazon Prime so far has refused to comment. That's not entirely unexpected, considering the decision to give the show the axe was made in the early hours of the morning of Easter Sunday, which also happens to be April 1st. This article was brought to you by carbuzz.com. For more automotive and Grand Tour news, consider subscribing to the channel for videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday. Please consider commenting, sharing the videos on social platforms and liking the video. I will see you in the next video, whenever that happens to be. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.
Hello, we're the Grand Tour presenters.
Yes, we're flat out filming the third series.
Yeah, we would be if we weren't here making this stupid, time-consuming and pointless marketing message.
Brilliant.
I think that went well, actually. I kind of got the message across.
They asked, you delivered.
Hello and welcome to this week's review of the Grand Tour two-part Columbia special. The way I will be splitting up this review, the way I will be delivering this review to you via your subscription boxes this week is I should be putting out the first part of the review on today, and when part 2 is released on Amazon Prime, I should be putting out the second part on Saturday the 26th. But first off, let's begin this review with the fact that Clarkson & Co. are sent off to Columbia, the long-awaited, guess you could call it Series 2, Series 3 special, that was originally supposed to air alongside the episodes released as part of the Grand Tour second series, but due to health scares and hospital visits during the second series of filming, this special was unable to go ahead last year, and is instead being released alongside this series of the Grand Tour. I must advise, if you have not seen the first part of the Columbia special, please pause this video now, go and watch the episode, come back here, press play and enjoy the review. Also, I must stress that viewer discretion during this review is advised, as seen in the episode and as talked about here in this review, although not in that much detail. Anyway, let's get to it. So, this of course is the extremely long awaited review that we've all been waiting for. In fact, I just checked my Twitter feed today, and Jeremy Clarkson announced on Twitter that it's been so long since they filmed the Columbia special, he can't even remember the last bit. He can't even remember what happens in the second half of the Columbia special. As he stated, it's been 1 year since we filmed in Columbia. I can't even remember how the special ends. When which the Grand Tour replied, "We'll have to wait until tomorrow to find out," which I thought was very hilarious, and I will leave a link to the tweet below in the description. This special, part 1 anyway, the presenters showed up on a beach at midnight. This was due to Hammond's choosing of where they should start the challenge or the special, and he chose a beach in Columbia at midnight. The presenters turned up in a Chevrolet Silverado, a Fiat Panda and a Jeep Wrangler 4x4. Fiat Panda being driven by James May, Chevrolet Silverado being driven by the American Richard Hammond, and the Jeep Wrangler, made in Japan, driven by Jeremy Clarkson. This was a very enjoyable episode, and I will be joining them again tomorrow for the second half of the special, which is very interesting actually when you think of it, because I won't spoil it, but I will leave it up in an info card which should be popping up at the moment. Now, on to viewer discretion is advised for this next part. In the episode, Jeremy comes across donkeys, and he decides to take out his photograph, and he's not sure about what he sees over in the distance. A few minutes later, he calls Hammond and James to come and join him to investigate what he has seen through his gigantic camera lens. Jaguar cars here, I'm talking about the Jaguar animal. These animals are nocturnal and only come out at night time. So Hammond, being the adventurer or the explorer, or the explorer in the wilderness, as James may like to put it in some sense, went out and got himself a massive bag of 3 zillion cameras, and decided to buy these trap cameras. How these work is they work on a sensor, and if anything sets them off, for example a leaf, or in this case what looks to be a jaguar, if they walk past the trap cameras will trigger and capture the image. It was successful in some way, but you'll have to watch and find out. that was very interesting. Of course, my review will be linked down in the description for you to read. I just published it there about 2 minutes ago. So I will leave a link down in there for you to read it, and please do give me feedback on these, as it greatly helps with my improvement of writing and reviewing episodes. And if you want to see more content like reviews on the website and videos in relation to the reviews that contrast with the reviews, then please let me know in the comments below, and I will get more. I will possibly somehow figure out how to do it for the next 12 weeks, and you will have Grand Tour content galore to look out for, as well as Millionaire and Top Gear reviews on the way soon, in the next 2 months or so. Overall, this is only half of the Columbia special, but based on my enjoyment of this episode, I am giving this episode a solid 9 out of 10. Simply because I enjoyed the episode, and it reminded me very much of the Top Gear days when they went to, I think it's South America, to film in Patagonia, where of course they had their rally of angry people, and this of course was suggested slightly in the Columbia special. Part 2 of the Columbia special arrives tomorrow on Amazon Prime, Saturday the 26th of January. My review for part 1 is now available online, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next part of this review. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you then. Goodbye.
The Grand Tour is in Detroit for filming Series 3. The peace of a Monday morning in Motor1.com's Detroit office was shattered today by a trio of famous Brits and 3 high-performance muscle cars. Yes, Amazon's The Grand Tour descended on Detroit's historic Packard plant, just next door to our very own office, to film scenes for an upcoming episode of its 3rd series and Clarkson and Hammond and May were all in attendance. Naturally, we did what any fan would do and climbed up the roof to take pictures, and stood along the side of Grand Boulevard shooting video. Here's what we know about the upcoming horsepower-heavy episode. For a start, the cars will be excellent, alongside a Dodge Challenger SRT Demon, which we saw in episode 4 of the Grand Tour's 1st series. There was a Hennessy Exorcist Camaro and a Ford Mustang RTR. Considering the company, this was almost certainly the 700 horsepower Spec 3. Shocking exactly, none of the Grand Tour's usual viewers. Unofficial American Richard Hammond was in the 840 horsepower Demon. James May is ditching the Captain's Love handle with his 1000 horsepower Exorcist, and in a surprising move, it seems Jeremy Clarkson has had the least horsepower with his Mustang. The scenes around the Packard plant ran up and down Grand Boulevard. You'll be able to spot Motor1.com's office in the background, and then off to the bowls of the derelict factory. We're expecting the usual beautiful cinematography after spotting drones flying high above the plant and filming the three muscle cars as they rampaged around. There was also a matte black Porsche Cayenne camera car that captured some killer shots of the three star cars together. As for our attempts at meeting Clarkson, Hammond and May, they were unsuccessful. We managed to infiltrate the film set and hung around for about an hour before the stars arrived. While we got good looks at the trio getting their mics on, sipping coffee, and in May's case, smoking a cigarette after about 30 minutes or more, we were asked to leave. Annoyingly, not 15 minutes after we walked away, we saw Clarkson wander over to the exact spot where we were standing to take a snap of some of Packard's world-famous ruins. Getting this close to the three automotive and entertainment industry's biggest stars and one of the biggest shows doesn't happen every day. We can't wait to see what filming in here in Detroit looks like when Season 3 of the Grand Tour finally hits Amazon. This article was brought to you by Motor1.com, and a link to the article will be left in the description below. As always, if you like this video and would like to see more Grand Tour content from this channel, please consider liking, subscribing, sharing the content on social platform, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later. Hello and welcome to podcast episode 4. The Grand Tour is found filming in Croatia for Series 2. Jeremy Clarkson and Richard Hammond take to the streets of Croatia as they film adrenaline-fueled race scenes for the second season of the Grand Tour. The second series of the Grand Tour is due to hit Amazon Prime in the autumn. From these images released by the online sources, we see Richard Hammond in the Ariel Atom and Jeremy Clarkson in the Audi RS, which can only mean that at some point in the series that there will be a race staged between the two of them, possibly to see who's faster in one of the cars. According to this online source, Jeremy Clarkson seemed to have been taking the lead, with the Audi powering past the go-kart buggy. Filming for the show began commencing at the Ferrari ferry dock in Zieglingen for the day. Jeremy Clarkson seated himself in a comfortable blue Audi. James May, who was also a presenter on the show, was nowhere to be seen during the day of filming. Speaking about the release of the second season, Clarkson gave some insight while promoting their new website DriveTribe on a Facebook live stream. It will go out this year at the same time as the last one went out. Whenever that was, he revealed, hinting at the autumn release after season 1 premiered in November. Filming for the second season hasn't been without its setbacks though, as Hammond reportedly injured himself during a motorbike crash in Africa. The star, who sustained brain injuries after a 288 miles per hour rocket car accident in 2006, toppled off his motorcycle and banged his head while riding tough through a remote part of Mozambique. Richard Hammond's father said that he spoke to his son on the phone this morning with the TV presenter, reassuring him that he had fully recovered from the terrifying incident. His father said, "Richard called this morning and he said everything is fine. He is fully recovered and all is okay." While last year the show visited the likes of Finland, South Africa and Dubai, this year they will also visit the US and Georgia. And that is all we have time for on this podcast. Join me next week as I discuss another topic.
Hello everybody, and welcome to my review of The Grand Tour Guide to the World. In this review, I shall be reviewing everything Grand Tour and the travels that they have been on throughout Series 1 and 2. This book was published by HarperCollins and is available now on Amazon.com. Let's get started, shall we? When you first open the book, these are the 2 pages that you are greeted with. Some legal garb and the front page of the Grand Tour book, and at the bottom of the book you have the publishing company, which is HarperCollins Publishers. This is something that I find very interesting, is the little warning segment at the top of the first page. It says, "Warning, some of this book is factual, but most of it isn't. Many of the observations are incorrect, and the advice is idiotic. The Grand Tour accepts no responsibility for anything that happens to you as a result of following tips or imitating actions you read about in these pages. Basically, it's your fault if you get thrown out of the first class lounge and / airplane / France." After that then, you have what I just described. A load of legal stuff. You have the website of the publication. You have the production company that produces the Grand Tour, and an ISBN number and who it was printed by. Turning over now to the opening page, we are greeted with the 3 amigos, Clarkson in the middle, Hammond to the right, and May to the left, with the title Origins of the Grand Tour. The Grand Tour was originally a 17th to 19th century pursuit in which 3 people would find themselves at a loose end for whatever reason and would agree to travel together. Before departing, one of the friends might say, "Look, this isn't completely convenient for me. I'm supposed to be making a Christmas special about 1970s toys." And the other 2 would reply, "Oh, for God's sake, James, this is blurb is referring to James May's Reassembler series, which he ran for 2 series on BBC 4 last year and this year, I think it was, over 4 episodic runs. And then they have a quote / question mark. or quote/question, sorry. What do you mean you're off to make a program about putting things back together? There we go. You can just focus on that, please. Anyway, that's it there. Turning to the back of the book, you can see that the dialogue, or rather the index, is very interesting. If you would like to read it, pause the video now. Within this guide to the World Book by the Grand Tour, it has behind the scenes photos and information on how they shot the series, including 3-minute interviews with each of the presenters. What else is there? There is Fast and Furious skits with the three of them. I think there was a bit on the American in this book as well. I've seen the trailer for it, which I will link down in the description below. And yeah, all in all, it is a very interesting read, and is definitely one for fellow petrol heads to get into. If you like the trio, if you've been interested in Top Gear, and also if you have an interest in the Grand Tour, this is definitely one to pick up. Anyway, this is my review of the Grand Tour Guide to the World. As always, I will leave a link down to the trailer, a link down to where you can pick the book up, and all the equipment that is used in the production of my videos. Anyway, this wraps up the review of the Grand Tour Guide to the World. Do let me know what you thought about it in the description box, in the comment section below. I will be back again soon with another review. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Repeats of the Grand Tour are coming to your television. The Grand Tour, one of Amazon's most popular shows, will officially air on regular TV after a sneak peek video was released by Australia's Channel 7 network today. This news just comes weeks after a boss of the streaming service giant refused to rule out the possibility of that happening. Roy Price, the boss of Amazon Studios, was asked at the Edinburgh Film and Television Festival last month if he would ever rule out selling repeats of the show featuring Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond and James May. He said he would not, but he also added he was pleased with its performance on the service and he wanted more series. Open quote, "I would expect more down that road. The show has the scale that we're looking for, ideally. I would take 4 more of these any day." Closed quotation. He told delegates in this session, chaired by outgoing Channel 4 Chief Creative Officer Jay Hunt. But confirmation that Amazon has already started selling the rights to the Grand Tour to broadcasters around the world raises the intriguing prospect of Clarkson and co. returning to terrestrial television in Britain. There's even potential for the show to air on the BBC. Say what you will about that in the comments, please. At this stage, only Australian viewers will be able to watch the first season of the Grand Tour for free on Channel 7 when the episodes begin to air in October. We expect similar announcements to be made by television networks around the world, especially those in countries where Top Gear used to be popular. This article was brought to you by motoringbox.com. A link to this article will also be left down in the box description, and you can click at the end of this video to subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and I will be back shortly with another video.
In this podcast episode, the Grand Tour Series 2 has an official release date. According to Grand Tour presenter James May, the Grand Tour returns in October. There is still a lot of work to be done on the show, but it will start being uploaded to Amazon Prime in October. And on being asked how much the budget for the show for the second series has been, he seemed very unwilling to tell the one show a quantifiable figure, but says as little as possible was spent in making the TV show. He said, and I quote, "There's a lot of travel involved, there's a lot of crew involved, there's a lot of technology involved filming in 4K. But that's the boring stuff. It's going to look largely the same, but we've moved it a bit in a way that I can't really tell you about because you're the enemy and it's a secret." Has the Grand Tour taken everything into account? Will the American be joining them again? There are still plenty of questions that need answering, but as soon as we find out, we will let you know. We can't wait to be greeted with the next season of the Grand Tour, and I'm sure you're all in the same boat, the same jet-powered amphibious boat. This article was brought to you by Grand Tour Nation. As a side note, our favourite trio are finalising the edit, and this October it will start and being uploaded to Amazon Prime Video. You can also view the article on Drive Tribe and also on my website with the links in the description. Also, while you are there, please head over to my Facebook page, link in the description below. Join me next week as I discuss another topic. And don't forget to subscribe, smash that like button and leave a comment down below. Mike Skinner, also known as the American, is out on the Grand Tour Season 2. Viewers of the inaugural season of the Grand Tour will remember the show's own version of the Stig as NASCAR driver Mike Skinner, the American. But it seems like for the upcoming second season of the show, Skinner is out, saying, "For your information, I won't be joining the guys on the Grand Tour second season. I wish them the luck. My character wasn't developed as I was told." I'm speculating a bit here, but as the new season is set to air on December 8th and Skinner is tweeting about it 1 month before it does, it could mean that he was either dropped at the last minute or he wasn't allowed to publicly announce it until now. Either way, we won't be seeing the spangly American on the show come winter. I have mixed feelings about this. On one hand, it was rather nice to see an American on a show that stars extremely British hosts. Kind of like the flavour that Matt LeBlanc brings to Top Gear now. On the other hand, I wasn't thrilled with how Skinner's character was portrayed. His hatred of import cars and undying love for fat displacement V8s felt very heavy-handed and stereotypical. Perhaps this was funny for a non-American audience, but for me it felt tired and stale. Like, oh look, here's a twangy American NASCAR driver, and he doesn't even know what BMW stands for. Low-hanging fruit, guys. Anyway, I'm interested in seeing how the team will now cover the lap times portion of the show now, if they decide to keep that segment. This article was brought to you by jalopnik.com. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with more Grand Tour news very soon. If you like this video, please like, comment and subscribe for new videos weekly.
The Amazon original, The Grand Tour, returns in 1 week. Here is your episode 1 preview. For the first episode of Series 3 of the Grand Tour, the presenters are in the United States. They travel to Detroit, where apparently the motor industry kind of kicked off. And with them they have the Dodge Demon SRT, another version of the Ford Mustang that we saw way back in Series 1, and James May, being Captain Slow, isn't slow anymore, as James May is in, if I'm correct, it's a souped up version of a Chevrolet. I will of course leave links to these photos and relevant sources in the description below, while I will leave the Grand Tour Series 3 trailer in the info card above. Also in this episode, Jeremy Clarkson is to bring the McLaren Senna, the brand new McLaren Senna, to the Ebola to test it out. And from what I've read from the preview that Motoring Box have put out, and the pre-release interviews that have been conducted by various media sources for the Grand Tour third series, this first show of Series 3 is shaping up to be a fairly good one. In this episode they will have to do challenges. There will be no celebrity guests, no celebrity brain crashes, and possibly there won't be any of the time wasting segments that we saw in Series 1 and 2. They will still have Conversation Street this year, I hope, or they might be getting rid of that for Series 4. The Grand Tour recently was renewed for Series 4 and beyond, meaning that next year, or later this year, when Series 4 production kicks off, we won't have the Grand Tour tent, we won't have Conversation Street, we won't have celebrity guests, and we won't have the segment like things that James May likes doing just because we can get rid of him for a day, as seen in Series 1, where he went donutting around in the I think it was the US, where he spent an evening drifting and donutting in Super Rally Cars. We won't have any of that next year. Come later this year, because Series 4 will focus on mainly the specials. So like Top Gear did with the Patagonia special, the Botswana special, the Africa special, and the Winter Olympics special, back in the day when Top Gear was a thing. Yeah, all in all, episode 1 of the Grand Tour Series 3 is shaping up to be a very good one. I'm expecting a lot from this episode, judging how it's the first episode of possibly 12 or 13 week run. And of course we will be getting possibly 1 or 2 specials in this series. One being Mongolia and the second one being Colombia special, which was due to go out with Series 2, but because of health issues and hospital visits, production on the Colombia special never made it to air. So that will be released as an episode in with Series 2, in with Series 3 rather, and I'm really looking forward to that. So as I said, relevant sources and that will be linked in the description, and the Series 3 trailer will be up in your info cards when this video is finished rendering. Until then, I will see you on Saturday the 19th of January for my review of the Grand Tour Series 3 Episode 1. You can read pre-release press interviews and newspaper articles on the upcoming series in the description below, and of course on their social media website Drive Tribe as well, where you can get all the latest news, information, cars and presenter updates on the Grand Tour. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on Saturday for my first review of the new series. Welcome to this week's preview of the Grand Tour Series 3 Episode 6. This week the Grand Tour travels to China, where Hammond tests out a brand new electric car. Hopefully it doesn't go the way it went in Series 2 Episode 1 when he crashes over the barrier. So hopefully that doesn't happen. James May is in a suit this week, and Jeremy Clarkson tests a car that he has been looking forward to testing for a very long time. This week also I will leave a link to the Grand Tour Series 3 Episode 6 trailer up in the info card as well while you're watching this video. And I also believe that somewhere maybe next week or the week after that there will be another Grand Tour special, the one in Mongolia, as teased in the Series 3 montage there a few weeks ago. What else happens this week? Oh yes, the Grand Tour presenters get really hungry and they set their cars on fire. All that and more in this week's episode of the Grand Tour, premiering Friday, or in this case at 11 o'clock on Amazon Prime Video. See you then. Bye bye. Hello and welcome to the second part of the Colombia special. The second part of the Colombia special is now available on Amazon Prime Video. However, let's begin with this review. Continuing on from yesterday's review, which you can find up in the info card, which should pop up on your screen right now, it continues on from where the trio left off. When the episode opens, they are on their way to photograph bears, a cobra, or some sort of Colombian snake, and hippopotamus. Now, what I find really funny about this is when Jeremy said that they need to find a hippopotamus and photograph it, I thought they would... No. I thought they meant Jeremy Clarkson was to be the hippopotamus. But let's glance over that. On their way to finding these different animals, they travel up a volcano and they get caught in a hailstorm. In a fairly heavy one at that. It doesn't look nice, and they didn't look very pleased. Although, when Jeremy Clarkson got ice, physical big lumps of ice on in his roof, or in his car and behind his back, Richard Hammond found it very amusing. Now, that's not to say that there was a few breakdowns along the way. Hammond's Trump Jeep was the first to go. Trump truck was the first to go. Losing the... I think he called it a half shaft, which... His truck is 4-wheel drive. If he loses one of the shafts, it goes into 1-wheel drive. Of course, after losing the half shaft, his car only went into 1-wheel drive and he couldn't move. So then he had to get Jeremy and James to tug him out of the hole, and it was unsuccessful. Oh, excuse me. This went on and on and on, but only for about 2 minutes or 2 seconds, because obviously in the editing process it would be edited down. And then when the presenters got to the end of the trip, they were wondering where. This is when they were photographing the hippos. They were wondering where Jeremy was and why he was so long behind. And then Jeremy Clarkson pulls up in his Jeep and says that he was fixing his camera. Obviously because I think his camera broke a few miles back or something, and he had to stay back and fix it. So what happened in the end was James and Richard managed to get the photographs of the hippos, and Jeremy missed out. So James and Richard, being James and Richard, decided to show Jeremy the hippos, and he wasn't that impressed because he missed out on such a magnificent shot, and he had to explain to them that he was lagging behind because he had to fix his camera. And then the special finished there. So if you would like to, that does it for this review. My rating of this review is, I'm going to go a 9 out of 10, like I did with yesterday's special part. There was more action involved, there was less breakages, obviously because this is split in 2 halves and most of it happened in the first half. But But both parts are now available on Amazon Prime, so if you want to, you can watch them all in one go as one episode, or you can watch them as two separate entities. That does it for this review. If you'd like to see more Grand Tour Series 3 news, click here. If you'd like to get these videos to your inboxes and subscription feeds, click above where you can click on my channel icon, and to see the preview of the Colombian special, please click here. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back later this week with my preview of episode 4, and of course my review of episode 4 then, where it'll all go back to normal. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye bye. Welcome to this live episode preview of the Grand Tour episode 5. This week the Grand Tour travels to Sweden to test out the brand new Lamborghini Urus. This of course was hinted back in March of last year when filming started in Sweden, that Jeremy Clarkson was travelling to Sweden to test out the new Lamborghini Urus. He posted it on Drive Tribe and I think on Instagram. Of course you can watch the trailer for it once this live video recording has gone and rendered itself. This week focuses on 3 solo films from the presenters. We have Jeremy Clarkson in Sweden testing the new Lamborghini Urus in a race with Abby Eaton in a Porsche 911 Turbo, which you can see in the trailer. We also have James May making a very rare appearance at the Ebolodrome to test out the brand new Alpine A110, of which he purchased himself during the year. So it could coincidentally be his own car, or it could be one that they borrowed just to film. I'm not sure, but usually when that happens, it is his own. They are their own cars that they use. We also have Richard Hammond, I think in Scotland, channeling his inner Jim Clark. Now, Jim Clark, I think, was a racing driver. I'm not exactly 100% sure on that, so don't quote me there. But he channels his inner Jim Clark, and well, it should be an interesting episode. Last week we saw them in Wales testing out 3 European market pickup trucks, of which you can see my review up in the info card very shortly. And I'll leave you lastly with this episode. Looks very interesting. I've been waiting to see this episode since it was posted, as it hopefully turns out to be a very interesting episode, and I can't wait to hear Jeremy Clarkson's views on the Lamborghini Urus. I also can't wait for the fact that there is a race between Jeremy Clarkson and the Grand Tour's racing driver in Sweden, in the snow, that was filmed in the middle of March, of last year. Anyway, if you like this video, click subscribe when it pops up on your screen. Click the playlist to see my other Grand Tour video series, my Grand Tour videos in a series, and click the top playlist, which should be somewhere there, to see all the news on the brand new series of the Grand Tour. And I will catch you next week, not live obviously, maybe live, we'll find out how that goes next week, but I will catch you on Saturday for my review of episode 5, and then this time next week I'll have a preview out of episode 6. So if you want more of these videos, click subscribe and the notification bells so you never miss an upload, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.
It has recently come to my attention that the Grand Tour will not have an audience for the next series of the show. This has come to light as of a few weeks ago, when Jeremy Clarkson announced to the last studio audience of Series 3 that the trio will no longer be doing live studio audience segments for the show. And there has been a lot of articles going around on Drive Tribe and around the internet about whether or not they will be able to go to get to see the Grand Tour trio being filmed, filming an episode of the Grand Tour once Series 3 has finished and they move on to filming Series 4, 5 and 6, and of course other series beyond their agreed deal if possible. And a lot of them seem to be very up in the air about the whole thing, about, oh well, because Clarkson, Hammond and May are continuing not to do studio segments for the show, how am I going to see the trios, how am I going to see the trio for filming an episode, as that was one of the main reasons I liked the Grand Tour, or whatever excuse they come up with. Hopefully they will do live shows like they did with Top Gear and most recently the Grand Tour, or not the Grand Tour, most recently Clarkson, Hammond and May live as of recently, back in May of 2015. So hopefully they will do that kind of live segment in a way that fans are still happy that they can see the trio do all their crazy stuff without the onlookers of Amazon, or of course in the case that it was the BBC, and hopefully they can come up with a plausible plan like that. But yes, news has come about that the Grand Tour will not have live studio audience for filming the next few series of the Grand Tour, simply because these will be split into specials. Now, it was initially reported by a few online newspapers that we would be getting 4 Grand Tour specials a year after Series 3. This might be false, but it was later confirmed in an interview with Andy Willman, the Grand Tour's executive producer and also producer of Top Gear from 2002 to 2015, that accusation that viewers will be getting 4 specials a year turns out to be false, and in fact we will be filming 5 specials a year.
So that just clears that bit up. That's all for this latest news video on the Grand Tour. I will be back next week with my review of the Grand Tour episode 5. I'll join you then. Bye bye.
Abby Eaton is the Grand Tour's new racing driver, but nobody is saying her name. This article was brought to you by jalopnik.com. The Grand Tour is officially done with Mike Skinner, the American, but it needed a new hot shoe for track tests, and the awesome news is that the role's gone to a woman for season 2. She's racing driver Abby Eaton, but you wouldn't know that from actually watching the show. We've known that the show was searching for a new racing driver after they announced that Skinner wouldn't be on the show anymore. In a November interview with the Daily Telegraph and reported on by Motoring Box, James May revealed that their new driver was a woman, but kept her name a secret. Last night, we got to meet Eaton for the first time, during which she thrashed a Viper Green Mercedes AMG GTR around the test track. It was fantastic. I'm very excited to see her on the show. Yet her name wasn't mentioned once during the entire short segment, even when Jeremy Clarkson introduced her. In addition to a tweeted clip, you'll also find the full transcript of the Hot Lap segment below. Weird, right? The omission of her name was actually so glaring that it distracted me from the show. In fact, it was only during the credits did I actually learn who this pilot was. Eaton is a 25-year-old professional racing driver from England. According to her website, she's raced in the Saxmax Championship and the Production Touring Car Championships, where she was the Class B champion. She's also driven in the Mazda MX-5 Super Cup and was crowned the champion there as well. After that, she drove in the GT Cup, the British GT Championship, and with the Blancpain Endurance Series, where she was the first woman to finish first in her class. And when she's not doing all that, she works as a driving coach at Silverstone, according to The Sun. To make sure this isn't just a thing that happens on the Grand Tour, I went back and watched the Premier's season 1st episode, where Skinner makes his first appearance. Clarkson brings up both his NASCAR background and his name there. What gives? When tapped for comment, a spokesperson speaking on behalf of Amazon speculated over the phone that because the public reaction to Skinner was so overwhelmingly negative, the producer decided to downplay the role for the driver from a character to merely a driver. They couldn't use an anonymous driver like the other car show does. So this is what we ended up with. I don't believe this is the full reason, because you can totally introduce a new race car driver and also publicly provide her name without making her into some kind of character on the show, like Skinner or the Stig. It seems like the producers told Skinner to put on a personality they wrote for him, which backfired spectacularly, and now they're trying to fix their mistake by minimizing the role of the driver altogether. Still, it's good to see more diverse representation on a show as the Grand Tour. I can't wait to see Eaton drive in future episodes, but let's hope the show lets everyone know who she is. This article was once again brought to you by jalopnik.com. A link to this article and the transcript provided in this article will be available in the description box below. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with some more Grand Tour news very soon.
It really is nothing quite like it. It's exciting, invigorating. With every second, you get more and more engrossed. One wrong move, and it's all over. But with one final daredevil lunge, it could change your life. I'd like to make an entrance.
Same seat, different driver. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire returns this May on ITV.
Will the Grand Tour be set in just one location? Watch and find out. That's all to come on the Grand Tour video series. According to the Oxford Times, plans have been put in place for a mobile film studio to be set up in Great Chew near Chipping Norton. It has been confirmed that it was put in place by Chump Productions, the production company owned by the trio and Andy Willman, and the company behind the Grand Tour. The plans have shown that the site is being held for 13 weeks. And this begs the question, why so long? During the first season of the Grand Tour, the tents stayed in each location for a much shorter period of time than 13 weeks, which makes us wonder if they are going to be staying in just one location for the entirety of filming the studio segments. It seems plausible after Jeremy's health scare shocked us all with its severity, and we look further into the plans. If we look further into the plans, it becomes much more believable. The plans show that they will be filming once a week over 2 5-week periods. That makes up for 10 episodes and of the estimated 12, and also leaves another 2 for a double episode special. So unfortunately for some people it looks like it fits. How do you feel about the Grand Tour not touring? Will you be disappointed if they don't come to your country? And that is all we have time for on this video. Join me next week when I discuss another. Bye for now.